good? Like to welcome y'all back to another Major Music Lounge with your boy D Dot, coming at y'all with episode number 10. So this week, just wanted to talk a little bit about the first 9 episodes, and also wanted to take a little bit of time, kind of towards the end of the show or middle of the show, to discuss starting your own studio at home in conjunction with the independent music grind. You can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Let me know you're from the channel, and I'll hit you with a follow back. Also, you can watch all the episodes of the Major Music Lounge here on YouTube, or you can catch them on any podcast streaming platform of your choice. So whether that's Apple Music Podcasts, Spotify, also iHeartRadio, and many more. So as we start off with episode 10, I want to first and foremost give a big shout out to all the guests that appeared on the show. I had an Icebreaker Radio reunion. I had Boom on the show. I had Beatmakers, The Squad on the show. I had Elbow Media Studios on the show. Also had shout out to recently Zach One. We had him and V-Boy on the show with their new Parallel Universe album. So, a lot of these guys really embody the independent music grind. One of the things you got to really consider when becoming an artist, when becoming a producer, is, do you want to do this for real? Is this just something you're doing because now a lot of this stuff is easily accessible? I mean, you can download software online. I've been there. I remember back in the day, like when I started first making music, we were getting a certain piece of software online, and I would probably say I started producing in '05, but I didn't really actually buy any music program until around 2010 when I purchased Machine for the first time. Pretty much from that moment on, I purchased like all my DAWs and all my plugins and everything that I own for the most part, because one of the reasons that I support these companies now is me as a creator, as a producer. I can't sit here and tell an artist to pay for my beats if I'm out here taking software in order to create it. So I feel like if you invest in yourself, then you're going to see that come back to you. So, never be afraid, number one, to invest in yourself. The second part about it is investments cannot necessarily all the time be monetary. And being an independent artist or producer is not necessarily like a 9 to 5. So nobody's going to come to you when you get off of work and say, hey, it's time for you to produce something. It's time for you to make some beats. No, you got to find the time between your 9 to 5, between maybe you might have a family, maybe you might go to school, maybe you might have something else that you're into. Some of you, maybe I know some of you also play like college or high school sports, so you might have that to deal with as well. And you got to figure out inside of all of that how you're going to create and how you're going to be consistent at creating. And, me personally, I work a 9 to 5 job, but I utilize all my time, whether that's a break at work, whether that's a off day. I kind of outline some of the regular things that I have to do during the day, go to the gym, grocery shopping, maybe things with the family, etc., versus how much time I have to actually work on music. So that's something. Everybody's life is different. That's what you got to really figure out. I wanted to kind of tie that in with talking a little bit about starting your own home studio. With that being said, you have to maximize your time from this point on. So let's just say, now this part is really going to be for a lot of the individuals that might be new to music production or thinking about getting into music production. So with that being said, you got to really ask yourself, one, do you want to be mobile? Do you want to be stationary? Now, you might behind me see a iMac and a MacBook Pro. Now, the MacBook Pro is the newer M1 version, but the iMac is going to be a 2013 Intel model. Now, for a while, I kind of went back and forth between using iMacs as well as MacBooks. I've had everything from that old, like, I think it was a 17-inch iMac back in like 2007. Then I had the white MacBook. Then I had the MacBook Pro. Then I decided to go back to the iMac because I enjoyed the bigger screen. But at that time, actually, I more so valued having a bigger screen and more storage, because at that time in 2013, for a solid state hard drive in a MacBook Pro, it would cost you probably close to $2,000. So at that time, when I kind of, maybe I should have saved a little bit more, but I just had preferred having the bigger screen and having more storage for a lesser price. Now, here I am in 2021. Now I have the M1 MacBook Pro. And, since then and now, what I've also done was started iPad music production. So I'm pretty much mobile in every aspect of how I produce music, whether that's on my iPad or whether it's on my MacBook Pro. Now, personally, if you ask me, I think that there's enough for me to use on the iPad. If I just solely wanted to use my iPad to make beats, I can go ahead and use that. I use actually right now a 2018 version of the iPad Pro. It was the first iPad Pro that didn't have the home button. I didn't want to upgrade to last year's version for the simple fact that I didn't really think there was enough upgrades outside of the camera and the processor for me to upgrade. Though I do need more storage, so if a new iPad comes out in the future, I probably will upgrade to that because, again, needing more storage. Beatmaker 3 on my iPad takes up a lot in terms of samples. Beatmaker 3 also, if you are considering getting into iPad music production, I would probably say is my second favorite overall program or application to make beats. And I would probably say on the iPad, it would be my overall best or favorite DAW or beat making program to create in. And I like the simple fact that it has kind of like Logic Pro, for example, on the Mac. It has the arranger going from left to right, which I like a lot. And then it has the traditional look to the mixer. And as far as the way you load audio units inside of Beatmaker, similar to how you would load VSTs in Logic or Machine or any other program to that effect. Now, also, as far as my overall favorite DAW to produce beats in, I would probably have to at that point then, well, there's no doubt about it, I would say Machine. I've been using Machine, kind of like I said at the beginning of the video, since 2010. I started off with the first generation Machine when all the pads were orange, and then when they switched to the MK2 and then the MK3, I upgraded to both of those. And a lot of people ask, why, for example, do I like to use the Machine Micro over the other models? For one, me being more mobile, it allows me to take it places, because I could take my Machine Micro to work, and maybe I might go to Louisiana sometimes and produce with some friends out there. So I can then just take my Machine Micro, just put it right in my bag and get to going. Now, the second thing, as far as why I like Machine and why I still stick with Machine 11 years later, is I've invested a lot in terms of a lot of these sound libraries that are in Machine. I have pretty much expansions from the time I started up until now, and then as far as all these samples that I have on my computer, I have everything organized any fashion that I'm used to. So if I want to just go into Machine, make a quick beat, I can go in because I know where everything is, and I'm pretty, I've pretty much, I won't say I mastered the workflow, but I know the workflow pretty well in Machine. And overall, I just really have been a big fan of Native Instruments over that period of time. And I made a video on the iZotope partnership with Native Instruments, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they got coming in the near future. Now, my next favorite DAW is going to be Logic Pro, and for a lot of the same reasons that I mentioned inside of Beatmaker 3. I like the arranger from left to right. I like the mixer going from pretty much a traditional mixer as well. I also like the fact that you can use your iPad as a controller or a mixer for Logic via Logic Remote. So you can do things like utilize a mixer if you want to use it as a controller. And then you could also use it to utilize your shortcuts inside of Logic. So now, again, that's when it's working properly. So it isn't always. Sometimes it's laggy, but when it does work, I enjoy using it. Now, after that, I would probably then say Chord Gadget would probably be my next favorite application to make beats in. It reminds me a lot of Reason, which I actually started using Reason again recently, and that was the first program that I actually learned how to make beats in way back. And I like the workflow in Reason, especially if you just want to get in and crank out a quick beat. If you're on limited time, I look at Chord Gadget very much the same way. Just like you have these different synthesizers within Reason, you got different gadgets inside of Chord Gadget. Now, Chord Gadget runs $49. Chord Gadget 2, that is, inside of the App Store. And you can't record vocals inside of Chord Gadget as you can. Now, I haven't done it in Reason, but now other apps like Logic Pro, for example, you can make a full-fledged album from start to finish, from the instrumental, adding vocals and the mix down and more. And one of the reasons, if we're going back to like 2008 or so, 2009, I think Reason 3 or 4 was kind of the thing around that time. And one of the reasons that, no pun intended, that I moved on from Reason was they did not have VST support around that time. So years later, now they're including VST support, so I can use some of my external plugins inside of Reason, as to where I could have always done that in like Logic inside of Machine, and many other applications as well. I know like a lot of Ableton users, FL Studio users. I haven't used those two myself, but just from what I talk to people about. All right, so I covered some of the software, and I've covered some of the programs and apps that I like to use for one. Now, also, what I also like to use, whether it's on a computer or standalone, I really just going to talk about this all together, but I would say as a producer, now you don't have to do this right away. It's just something that I actually did last year, at the beginning of last year, was created my DAWless setup. So I used the MPC-1 as well as the Uno synth, the Uno drum, and the Arturio Micro Freak as my DAWless setup. And I've also thought about adding a few of the Moog synthesizers to my setup. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but maybe that's something I'll do in the near future. Now, not so much anymore, given the fact that I have a updated computer, but the DAWless setup, what I liked about it is I didn't necessarily have to worry about my computer lagging or running slow or anything like that. I can just get into creating And I like it also because I have not only the sounds that I have on my MPC one, and then I have on each individual device, but the limitation of not having a lot of VSTs or a really large library of sounds to sort through, just that limitation allows you to, a little bit more to kind of think outside the box in terms of creativity. And whatever I have to work with at my disposal is pretty much all I have to work with. Now, of course, I pretty much make the beat on the MPC. I do my tracking on the MPC. Excuse me. I do my sequencing on the MPC, and then from there I usually export and I'll mix it in Logic, or if I'm on a go, I may mix it in Cubase on the iPad. Cubase is also, I do want to say, is a great program as well. Like if you're looking for something on the iPad that allows you to record vocals and create beats, it's probably the best all around app on the iPad for recording vocals and creating your beats. The only thing, I like the workflow a little bit better in Beatmaker than I do in Cubase, because it's something that I've been using a lot longer. Kind of like Machine, for example, where I know the interface a lot better, so I can navigate it, and it's going to take me less time to do certain things in Beatmaker than it would take me to do inside of Cubase. Alright, so I talked a little bit about the beat making programs that I use, some of the favorite programs. Now I do want to say, with Machine, one thing that I did leave out about Machine is Machine is going to come with the controller itself. So whether you choose like Machine Micro, Machine the standard version MK2, Machine Studio, and even the Machine Plus, you're going to get the software version to use on your PC or your Mac. And then with that, when you purchase any version of Machine, I've never seen anyone use Machine without using one of the controllers. Behind me, you also see the Machine Jam, and they don't sell that one anymore. But I mean, if you find it used, now if you find any of the controllers used, you can actually go to Native Instruments website and purchase Machine 2 so you can use your controller. I actually had sold a older controller to someone, and they ended up just downloading Machine. And then you could use the controller also in other applications as well, and like you could use it as a standalone controller in Logic. Alright, so we talked about different apps and programs. Now the last thing that we're going to talk about is, after you got your app or program, then you really got to decide at that point what type of audio interface you're going to use. Now, I've used audio interfaces from PreSonus for one. Right now, I'm actually using the PreSonus Studio 26C. I've been using that for maybe like 2 years or so. And one of the reasons that I bought it at that time is I kind of knew that I was going to get another computer at some point that had USB-C or Thunderbolt 3 in it, and it plugs directly. It actually comes with both of those cables, the standard USB-C cable as well as the USB-A to USB-C cable. So if you still have a computer that uses USB-A instead of USB-C, then you'll be able to use it as well. And also, I was using iPad at the time, iPad Pro, which the 2018 version was the first version that introduced USB-C on it. And this is something that's pretty much going to be around for the foreseeable future. So that was one of the reasons that I decided to go with the PreSonus Studio 26C. But I've also used interfaces from other companies such as Focusrite, which I liked a lot. I used to use the Sapphire 6. And then with M Audio, that was the M Audio Firewire 410, I believe. And I think they actually have a newer version of that as well. As far as interfaces, again, that's my experience with them. But I would do your best research to see what's right for you, because there are other factors in terms of Maybe you want to be a little bit more portable. Also, how much money you want to spend, things along those lines. But the audio interfaces that I was mentioning are great for around the $100, $200, $300 price point. You're gonna have more expensive audio interfaces out there, depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something with a lot more inputs and a lot more outputs, so you can record external gear or whatever you're looking to record. Now, you're gonna need the audio interface if you are doing things like maybe sampling from an external source, like a record player. Your phone, for example, is another good example. Or also if you want to record vocals, because you're going to plug into your audio interface from the front with the XLR inputs. Now, you could also record with the USB mic. Personally, now they've gotten better, but I remember years ago I used to use this M Audio USB mic, and I didn't really like the way it sounded. So I moved over to something that had XLR, which the Yeti that I'm talking on right now, it not only plugs in through USB, but it also works with XLR. And then I have a Spark, which is right above behind me, the blue microphone, the blue Spark, which I've been having for about 2 years as well. I think I actually got that along with the Personas audio interface. So I just wanted to make a short video talking about some of the first 10 shows that we've done here on the Major Music Lounge, as well as some of the things you might need to start your own home studio. And if you found this useful, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also find episodes of the Major Music Lounge on all streaming platforms out there. You can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Again, let me know you're from the channel and I'll hit you with a follow back. And the channel community is continuing to grow. And what I've also liked, for you guys, if you have any questions, when I do videos like these, I'm gonna start doing Q&A. So I might answer your question for one of these videos. Leave a question in the comment section and let me know if you have any questions, and again, you might get it answered here on the show, and I appreciate it. This is episode 10 of the Major Music Lounge, and definitely looking forward to plenty more. This has been the Major Music Lounge. Catch me on YouTube and all streaming platforms out there. And I'm out.